Hey guys, Dee here again, and I'm making another art video for you guys since I got a lot of positive feedback from my last one. And today we're going to be talking about materials, since a lot of you have been asking what I use and how I use it and all that. Okay, let's go. We're going to start by talking about paper, since that is the basic material you need if you're going to draw. And there are typically two types that you can have. You can have the basic printer copy paper that you can get at the store, just generic, or you can actually go out and you can get sketch paper. Now the printer paper, copy paper, whatever you want to call it, the stuff that you stick in your printer to print stuff, that is, it's pretty good for sketching. It's lightweight, very smooth, so you get nice clean lines if you're using pencil. But I do not recommend using ink or paint or anything else on it because it will bleed through and it tends to wrinkle. So if you're going to do that, I tell you to use sketch instead. Now, choosing sketch paper is a bit more difficult since it comes in a variety of different styles and types of sketchbooks. And you might not even want a sketchbook, you might just want the paper. So you need to pay attention when you go out and you decide to get sketch paper that's actually designed for drawing. Now, choosing sketchbooks can be difficult since there's such a variety of them. So when you go to the store to choose, you need to know exactly what you want, what you need, so you get the first time. Now, some may be a bit more interested in the style of the sketchbook. For example, this one opens up and down from the top. It's not perforated or anything, not spiral. And some may prefer that, but there's also a variety of other styles that you can have. So that's one of them. Now, I tend to prefer the spiral sketchbook since I like it opening up to the side like a book would, and I just feel that it's more organized and less likely to tear or fall out. So that's what I prefer, but it's you just need to decide on your own what you like when you go and get your sketchbook. If you do choose to get a spiral notebook, I suggest that you get one that's perforated. It'll tell you with the line down the side, typically on the cover. And I find it just makes it much easier to take out your paper if you need to. That way you won't be tearing anything if you do. Sketchbooks typically come with a lot of information on the cover, telling you how many sheets are in there, what size they are, if the paper is acid-free, and in this case you can see that it's recycled. And you just need to look there if you're looking for a certain type of paper to use for paint, ink, whatever you need. Now we're at the part that I find the most annoying when choosing a sketchbook, and that is the paper weight. There's heavyweight, medium weight, and lightweight. Finding this information can be difficult, but it should typically say so on the cover with the rest of the book information. Simply look on the cover with the information and see if it lists the type of paper you want. Most books have this, but if they don't, it might be best to ask an employee to help you. You're going to want to use different weights for different types of mediums. Reserve lightweight paper for sketching with pencils. Don't use ink or watercolor or markers since it will bleed through and it will tend to wrinkle and it just gets messy. Medium weight paper works really well with graphite for blending and stuff. It also works really well with markers and blending with that too. So medium weight is probably your go-to for just about any type of medium. And finally, there's heavyweight. Heavyweight tends to be on the thicker side, and I personally love heavyweight because I can use my markers, ink, and even watercolor if I want to. It just works really well. And if you want to get nice even color and blending, heavyweight should be used. Now we'll move on to the pens and pencils I use for outlining. People are always asking how I get such clean lines in some of my work, so I'm just going to show you what I use. The pencil I typically use for basic sketching is the Pentel Twist Erase. It's formulated to look like a pen, and it has the twistable eraser on top, which is replaceable. And the grip is really comfortable, so that's usually my go-to pencil when I'm sketching. You know those pencils you just find on the floor at school and just take home with you and never seem to buy? Well, I love those. It's the Clear Point by Paperweight, and it also has the twistable eraser on top, and unlike other mechanical pencils, it has the side click thing, which advances your lead, so you just use your finger instead of using your thumb to click on the top. And then the grip is also really nice. So that's my second go-to, since, like I said, they're kind of expensive, so when I see one, I just grab it and yeah, so I definitely recommend using those. The pen I typically use for outlining my stuff is the Prismacolor brush tip, and I adore this pen. This pen is probably the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because the ink always runs really smooth, the tip doesn't split, it lasts a fairly long time, and overall I'm just really pleased with it, because when you erase your lines afterwards, it doesn't smear, and just wow. A while back, I tried a different outlining pen, the Sakura Pigma brush tip, and the lines are smooth enough and the ink is pretty nice, but the problem is that it damages really easily and the tip split after only a few uses, which makes it pretty much worthless, so get the Prismacolor one if you can. For those of you that prefer to use ink or make stuff like this, you don't need anything fancy. A generic brand should suit you just fine, so Papermate or Pentel or something like that. You don't need something really expensive in order to get the desired effects you want. For pieces where you want to do white detailing, I recommend that you get a white gel pen. This is by Jelly Roll, and I'm very pleased with it because I can draw on dark backgrounds and still get the white contrast that I need. So I can recommend that. For colored pencils, I use the Prismacolor Premier colored pencils. This one is the 48 pack and it comes in a nice tin box. Here it is opened up. You get 2 trays, 48 pencils. As you can see, I color-coded mine. It just makes things easier, you know? Having it all arranged in a certain way. Ah well, we'll just move on to talking about the pencils themselves. The pencils are wood, and the lead is really soft and thick, so the color job usually ends up looking really smooth and they're easily blendable. And since the lead is thick, it's less likely to break if you drop your pencil or something like that. They tend to get dull pretty easily, but with that, you have da-da-da-da, your Prismacolor pencil sharpener. It was designed specifically for the Premier pencils, and so I got one, and it works really well. You have the dual sharpener for the wide or the fine point, so that works really well. The question people ask me the most is what type of markers I use, and like the pencils, I use the Prismacolor Premier markers, so I'll show you those. Just like my pencils, I have the 48 pack of the markers, and those are really nicely arranged in different trays. Again, I color-coded mine because it's easier to find the colors you need. And they're all placed so you can easily see which color is which is really nice. And it comes in a carrying case, so you have the handle and it folds up, so it's portable. The markers are also double-ended with a single ink compartment, so that's really nice, so you have even ink flow to both sides of the marker. On one end you have your chisel tip, which is for coloring in wider areas with more ink coverage. And on your other end, you have the fine tip, which is for coloring in details and smaller areas. Some of you have seen pieces by me done with my gray palette, and the one I'm referring to is the gray set of brush tips by Prismacolor, and that's the 12 set. Like the other markers, these are double-ended, except instead of having the chisel point on one end, you're going to have a brush tip, and that's very flexible and it's really nice, just like the brush tip pen. And the other end is going to have the fine tip for details, so that's similar in that. The reason I use Prismacolor markers are because they're an affordable alternative to other markers like Copics, which are extremely expensive, and you won't get as nice effects as those, but very similar. So if you're short on money like I am, they're definitely something that you should invest in. So there you have it. Those are the materials I use when I draw. I hope I answered all of your questions, but please remember that it's not the materials that make the artist. Only practice will get you to a point where you can consider yourself good, and there's always room for improvement. So please remember that. Thanks. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to comment and subscribe. Look at my art stuff on my DA and Tumblr accounts. All the support really helps, and I wouldn't be here without you. Thanks. Bye.